I refuse to be defined by how you met me. That's just one dimension of who I am. By the time I got through making movies and writing books and building communities, they can't figure out what box to put me in. I'm always in transition. It's about remaining relevant.
What do we do about this digital divide?
What does real change look like?
And doing something with what you have been given. Out of all the things you do, what are the things that you want to leave behind?
Joining us now, TD Jakes.
There's nobody I want to talk to this morning other than you.
How do we embrace this moment?
We control the destiny of our nation.
Its worldwide impact spans film, television, books, and music.
In his 4-day megafest, 560,000 people from 55 countries.
Bishop Jakes, your message has touched the lives of millions of people throughout this world.
Like the sky just opened up listening to TD Jakes.
Greatest communicator on the planet.
What's up, everybody? But I don't want to just be inspirational and not transformational.
His ministry has poured millions into poor Dallas neighborhoods.
Tyler Perry is getting a new neighbor on the Fort McPherson property in Atlanta.
You cannot be what you do not see.
A new curriculum is being tied to an upcoming performance of Hamilton.
Everything that I'm doing now is about training the next generation. When you know better, you do better. I think my destiny is to help you reach yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, as Senator Warnock said, stand up, put your shoes on. Stand up, put your shoes on. I would like to introduce you to our founder, chairman, and CEO, John Hope Bryant, and Bishop T.D. Jakes.
Bishop T.D. Jakes!
No, I'm not getting down because I can't get up.
The Bishop of Black America and Black and Brown world. The Pope. The Pope of Black
that's
America.
Scary.
Good morning, everybody. Oh, come on now. I told you 2 days ago, the Bible suggests be hot or be cold. If you're lukewarm, I'll spat you out. Translation, even God does not like mediocrity. No one wants to say, hey. So if you really know how special it is to have this man here this morning, I'll try it one more time. Good morning.
Wow.
Wow. It must be amazing to have that impact, like the father you never had, like the grandfather that you miss, like the ancestors you long for. It must be just beautiful to walk through the world and have people literally touched and changed just by shaking your hand, by looking you in the eye, by having you affirm them. I've seen you do it, I've seen it happen to you, and your response is always the same: utter humility.
Well, first, giving honor to God. I take no credit for myself. And secondly, you have to understand.
Well, hold on. First of all, everybody, we're in the back and the video playing, and I heard the voice. Now, he's right next to me. He's my dude. I love him. I heard the voice. The voice. Hi, this is T.D. Jakes. Isn't that a great voice?
Would you stop? No, seriously, you have to understand that the pain resonates with me because my father got sick when I was 10 and died when I was 16.
Yeah.
So I get that. The aura that surrounds me, aside from my faith, is my ancestry.
Yeah.
There are so many people sitting in this chair, it might break. My mother and my father, my grandparents, my great-grandfather who was murdered in Mississippi by white racists and wrapped up in barbed wire, and my grandmother who was pregnant came home, they brought him home dead. And my great-grandmother who was born a slave that I remember.
Let's run that back. You say, who was murdered?
My grandfather, he was the first TD. I'm actually TD's second. I'm named after him. And oddly enough, my mother birthed me on the day he was murdered, didn't even know it.
Really?
Yeah, I was born on the day he was murdered. My uncle says that God gave me more life to supplement for the loss of his. But I have a rich sense of heritage and ancestry all the way back to Nigeria, to the tribe of Igbo. I have thoroughly researched and understood who I am ancestrally. And I owe all of those people a debt. And when I meet somebody, my father started a business with a mop and a bucket and ended up with 52 employees. He was an entrepreneur. So I speak to every janitor, every bellman.
That's right.
The people who serve the tables, who are working in the back.
That's right.
I always remember that could be my dad or my mother. Arrogance is not an issue when you recognize the creativity that exists inside of all humanity. Yeah. So I'll leave it there. I'll give a short answer like Ambassador Young did.
You touched me when you talked about your mom, and I see my mom sitting here. And of course, we have Ambassador Young, who's here, living history. Both of you have that same humble spirit. You have a strong backup by your wife. Coincidence is God's ways will remain. Absolutely. By the way, she's a bad sister.
She's a queen.
Has her own businesses, her own brand. It is quite classy. We have purchased products from her brand, which is featured in department stores in Dallas, etc. She has her own brand, but she has this quiet storm behind you. I've always said behind every successful man is an exhausted woman. And it's interesting coincidence, TD. And we're going to transition today between Bishop T.D. Jakes and TD. I'll explain what I'm doing because this is mission and markets. The conversation is mission and markets. So we're going to go from Bishop T.D. to TD. And you'll understand where we're heading and how we can be bilingual as we go forward.
Could I interject something right there?
Absolutely.
I think one of the things that happens with people with understanding me and understanding other people like me is that they define you by what they see on TV.
Yeah.
And because all they see on TV is you preaching, they think that's all you do.
That's right.
And it's not meant to be derogatory or insulting, but we experience people how we experience them. So the many companies that I own and the many endeavors that I do and the philanthropic work that I do and the real estate ventures that I own and the other properties that I have aspired to do go unnoticed because they're not televised.
Yeah.
We live in a society that no longer consumes information from television, and they don't always Google it from technology.
Yeah.
And consequently, they build a persona around you by how they perceive you. And if you allow them to do that, they incarcerate you with the title that they define you by.
No, absolutely. And of course, the part that feeds everybody's soul, rightly so, no different than I'm a businessman, but people know me through Operation Hope, and you are this proper businessman, but people know you through this part that has changed everybody's life, the ministry and the movement, which is completely appropriate. And that's why I also wanted to acknowledge your wife for fueling that part of you and giving you strength when you might be weak. and your background. In fact, you might not know, but Dr. King and Andrew Young's wife were met in the same little town in Alabama. I think it was Marion. And my wife and TD were born in the same little town in West Virginia.
And my mother went to school with Coretta Scott at Lincoln High School in Marion, Alabama.
Wow.
So there's a lot of association. Mrs. King knew all of my aunts and all of my uncles. They were patents, grew up in Marion. And Marion, Alabama produced more black intelligentsia with master's degrees than any other county of its kind.
Wow.
And it's that big. It's like as big as a sliced apple pie. But the interesting thing about grasping the notion of ministry and marketplace, when you grasp the understanding of Jesus from a biblical perspective, we have almost no sermons. We have the Sermon on the Mount. We have the 5,000 that were willing to faint rather than to miss his message, and yet his message is never recorded. The Gospels is a summary of what he did, not just what he said.
Yes.
There is not a lot of emphasis placed on his exegesis. The real emphasis is placed on how he changed lives.
Yeah.
So oration without demonstration just becomes motivation.
Say that one more time, please.
Oration without demonstration just becomes motivation, and motivation without deliverance becomes depression. So if I keep encouraging you and tell you it's going to work out, you're 3 days from a breakthrough, and you spend 3 years listening at me say there's 3 days for a breakthrough, after a while people turn and walk away. The reason I am at this junction with engaging business and lifting communities and developing STEM programs and some of the things, working with formerly incarcerated inmates and some of the things, we've had 30,000 formerly incarcerated inmates to go through our Texas Offenders Reentry Initiatives. The reason that our foundation is focused on job readiness and financial literacy and STEM programs and STEAM programs is because I can't just prophesy on the pulpit and not perform off stage.
That's right. Bishop T.D. Jakes and T.D. Jakes are the same. One is PhD, one is PhD. And one is very serious, the other one is serious, and he's funny. We have great conversations at midnight as we're unpacking and sharing our day and our night. This is one of the best friends you could ever have. What you see is actually what you get. Complete authenticity. What is it? What's the banking business? Trust. It's a trust business. What is credibility? It comes from the Latin word credito. It just means, all credit means credito, credibility. It's a feeling. What is a capital? It comes from the Latin word capitas, knowledge in the head. We think these things are monetary. We think these things are physical. No, it is how you make somebody feel. And what Bishop T.D. Jakes and what T.D. Jakes has done is given a feeling to the underserved that I see you and that you are seen, that you are somebody. He's also now translating that as a bridge to markets and saying, and if you see what I see, corporate America, business America, and the world, you can find emerging markets and do well and do good too. How's that translated? Emmy Award winning. He's produced TV shows and movies. Books, best-selling books on the New York Times bestseller list. I believe it's a dozen?
Yes.
Best-selling books in his spare time. Hold on. Grammys. Recently issued I call it a soundtrack, but a collection of music that actually debuted #1 in its category, and it was a hot artist that you actually debuted ahead of. What was that?
Well, Sheila E. was one of the participants in Tamar Braxton, but the real powerful story, we were honored to have them and a host of others it was my finally loosed. It hit #1 on the Christian charts for number 3 in all genres in 4 days. In 4 days. But the real powerful thing is I did it in a partnership with Rock Nation, owned by Jay-Z. And so I've just finished a book. It's not promotional because it's not even listed yet. It's called Disruptive Thinking.
This is your 40-something book?
Yes, 43rd book. Yeah. But it's called Disruptive Thinking.
You need to work harder.
People would say, what does Jay-Z have in common with T.D. Jakes? Well, number one, it's not a relationship with him. It's a business construct.
Yeah.
So his Rock Nation produced our project, Finally Loosed, and it's a collaborative effort, but most people only align with people who do what they do.
Yeah.
And you have to form unlikely alliances in order to be able to accomplish the magnitude of the work you need to do. We are in a state right now in this country that if we continue without disruption, we're headed for destruction. The unlikely alliances of corporations coming together with faith leaders, the unlikely alliances of hip-hop business moguls coming together with somebody who is at their core a preacher is an unlikely alliance. But every major transformative act that has ever happened in this country has been a result of unlikely alliances. The civil rights movement forged ahead because of unlikely alliances. It was not just all black people, it was white people and Jews and unlikely alliances. What made the alliance work is that they had common goals.
That's right.
When you said I was a great friend, I thought to myself, magnets don't attract wood. In order, if I am a great friend to you, it's only because magnets attract steel. You can only attract what you are. See, you can only attract what you are. And if I am a great friend, I'm only a great friend because you are a great friend, and great friends draw each other to each other. Yeah. Watch what you attract.
Woo! Come on.
Watch what you attract. And if you don't like what you're attracting, leave that circle. Weakness, excuses, people who have inferiority complexes, and so love them. Toxicity. Minister to them, love them, but don't lay with them, because you'll produce an offspring that is debilitated. You have to connect with your future and not your history.
That's what. Quincy Jones told me, Quincy Jones told me the only thing worse than being alone is wishing that you were. You can do bad all by yourself. In a relationship, 2 + 2 should equal 6, 8, or 10. If you're not better together, what are you doing?
Exactly.
So you have a relationship with spirituality that has resonated. That's why Time magazine put you on the cover and said, "Is this the next Billy Graham?" I don't know if you saw that. Go search it on your phone. Is this the next Billy Graham, they asked. Because he had such impact, not with black people, with all people. It just happened that black and brown people here and around the world resonate with him. It's like, I call him almost the Black Pope. I'm joking, but I'm serious. I don't know anybody who has this impact on people of color in the world. Do you? So it's a legitimate thing to say. Okay, but he's multidimensional. I just talked about the artistry of television in the business. I talked about the artistry in the business of music. But what I didn't talk about is the fact that you know that version of him. What you don't know is he runs a proper, multifaceted business enterprise with audited financials, with clean, proper, completely separate operations, a real estate development company that is unbelievable. But I'm getting ahead of myself. We had to come to you. You and Roland Martin inspired me to understand digital marketing, to understand social media. Really, I'm gonna give credit. Roland got me started on social media. You got me educated and refined on digital marketing. Your team is brilliant at it. Your son is brilliant at it. And you have tens of millions of followers and engagements every day. And now Amazon saw that as an opportunity, and you have a channel now.
Yes.
With
yes.
Amazon?
Yes, I have a freebie channel on Amazon. Amazon's I'm the first clergy to be offered a free channel on Freevee TV through Amazon that right now it's got 300 of my favorite sermons loaded on it that you can watch whenever you want to, however you want to, and it's absolutely free. Ultimately, we're going to have interviews like this. We're going to have help for emotional crisis. Our nation is still traumatized from what we've been through the last 3 years. Even those of us walking around don't even realize the trauma that we've ingested that comes out in our inability to sleep, our inability to feel safe, our inability to connect with each other has had a terrible toll on us. So this becomes a platform. And the thing I want to say about technology, particularly as it relates to the social media and all of the variations thereof, is that you have to realize it's not a magic pill. It'll only work if you work it.
That's right. Like everything else.
Yeah, it'll only work if you work it.
Yeah.
So everybody has it, but then how do you use it for its optimum capacity and to understand and appreciate it? If it is not authentically worked into the heart of the CEO, then it just becomes another thing you have. But when it's something that it becomes legitimately a part of you, so if Roland introduced you to it, then I begin to challenge you to be it, because you cannot have it if you don't be it. I can teach what I know, but I can only reproduce what I am. And are you following what I'm saying? So authenticity means that you have to engage it yourself for it to get into the DNA of your organization.
That's right.
Or it just becomes an accoutrement, an attachment to the overall complexity of your organization. And so what is interesting about it is authenticity brings success.
That's right.
Authenticity, just the weird thing of being yourself. And the funniest thing is the hardest thing in the world to do is to get up in front of people and be yourself, because we all fear rejection. And we sense that if I got up there and I was my authentic self, maybe they wouldn't like me. So we give them a version of us that represents us, but it's not actually us. But the reality is, flaws and all, to be able to stand authentically and say, this is who I am, takes courage, but it also reaps crops, harvests, increase, fruitfulness, cross-pollination, like-mindedness, and collaboration is not based on skin, it's based on thought. So when you start talking about disruptive thinking, you don't just find that in black people or preachers or scientists or doctors. There are people sitting out there listening at me now that may be white, that may be Latino, that may be young, that may be old. It doesn't matter about the demographic. It matters about the mentality. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So they said I was a preacher. And when they said that, I didn't think I was just that. So they put a period where God put a comma.
Whoa, come on now. Come on.
See?
Are you guys hearing this? Are you hearing this?
So I say this for the room because a lot of us are prisoners and inmates behind other people's opinion of how they define us. And so you're busy living up to their period. And you think because you're a journalist, that's all that you are. But you could be a scientist, you could be a doctor, you could be a film producer, you could develop music. There is more in you than what your title implies. And I want you out of jail. I want you in your creative space. I want you to have the courage to disrupt and dismantle systems that have locked you down to the prisons of other people's opinions, and to discover yourself before you run out of time.
Woo! Come on. We're about to have some church up in here. I tell people, I will give you some money if I have it. I'll give you a hug. I'll give you a connection. I'll hook you up if I can, if you're credible. And Even if you're not credible, if you just have hustle and authenticity. But one thing you will not do, you will not abuse my time.
No. No.
Because we're older when we leave here. What have you done with your time? How have you invested your time? What's the return on investment of your time? Man, you have made incredible use of your time.
Only because I was raised by a dying father. When you are raised by a dying father, they leave you life. An appreciation for life that you would not have. For my father to get sick when I was 10 and die when I was 16, he didn't get to go to football games with me. He didn't get to teach me how to ride a bicycle. He didn't get to do all the normal stuff he said. He taught me that every breath is precious.
That's it.
Don't waste your breath making the goal of your life to change the opinion of people who do not have anything to do with where you are going in your destiny. Woo! But to save your win. And here I am at a season in my life after 43 years of preaching. I thought this huge platform that you referred to, over 30 million people engaging us through cyberspace, our ability to reach around the world, 186 million homes that we're into now through Amazon, 40 million people are watching us every day on television all across the country and so forth around the world. My largest cities following are coming out of Lagos, Nigeria, London in the UK, then Dallas, then Atlanta, then New York, then Melbourne, then Switzerland, this huge platform that I don't even understand how I got, gave me a responsibility. What are you going to do to leverage your relationships, like right here in Atlanta, to acquire property right beside Tyler Perry Studios and build a community that changes things? I figured out something, John, that's very important. I was waiting for them and they. And then suddenly I realized that we are the people we've been waiting.
That's right. That's it.
We are the people.
That's it.
We are the people that we've been waiting on. The ability to pick up the phone and call you and glean from your wisdom, the ability to pick up your phone and call somebody else who's an expert at building or contracting or developing or land acquisition. The ability, don't think that your resources are in your wallet. Your resources are in your head and in your phone. The next time you hear somebody say, shake your moneymaker, shake your head. Woo! Shake your head. Shake your head. Shake your head, because you are only limited by your ears. Whatever you're thinking in your head, you can see in your life. And that's what's important. And that's what we've got to get in the hood. And that's what we've got to get in repressed neighborhoods. And that's what we've got to get into the hearts and minds of people who think that the only thing they can be, and there's nothing wrong with being this, but it's not the only thing that you can be, is a preacher, a rapper, a basketball player, a football player. You can be a scientist. You can be a technician. You can be a programmer. You can be a data programmer. You can code. You can do all kinds of things. So we have been adopting schools in repressed areas and taking them through programs, STEM programs, and then taking them to plays like Hamilton. But we brought them to see Hamilton after that they had done marketing, as if they were producing the movie, after they understood what the production was, after they understood how to code for the lighting and the transition and the sound and the programming and the recording. We're getting ready to do a Techspo at my leadership conference.
Expo.
Yeah. Expo, yeah. Yes. We create a word. That's the great thing about it. To all the white people, this is a great privilege that only black people have. We can make a word. we have our own dictionary. We make a word. So add that to your repertoire of linguistical articulation. Texpo is now a word. And we're going to have tech talks. Yes. And we're soliciting all of these different tech experts, not only to create an expo, but to have tech talks, because I want to close the digital divide before more of our middle class falls below the poverty line.
That's right.
And we don't have long. We don't have long.
If you don't have technology in the center of your life, And I don't mean watching some show. If you don't have technology that's into your life, you're not standing still, you're going backwards. I don't care if you're a church, a nonprofit, a for-profit, a big business, small business. Technology is the future, and you are trying to gateway us into that future. 3 things that hit me as you were talking. We spend a lot of time trying to impress somebody we don't want to be like.
Boy, that's a shout moment right there. I'm about to pass the offering plate up in here. I'm not sure who the preacher is, okay? I'm feeling a little insecure right now. You kind of hurt my feelings there just a little bit.
I'm feeding off you. And the second thing I'm hitting on is I like what you're doing better than what somebody else is not doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The third thing that I am getting very powerfully now is that eagles don't fly in packs.
Right.
You've never seen a flock of eagles. No one's going to understand you. They're not going to understand your role, your vision. You're going to be ahead of your tribe even. You may even have people in your family say, don't go doing that, baby. It's not good for you. And no, it's not good for them. They don't understand. It's what they don't know that they don't know that's killing them, but they think they know. But that doesn't mean that you don't know. And thank God you went on your path.
Right.
And you took flight like an eagle and stayed high, even though people didn't understand you, and people player hate you because they're jealous of you, and I've seen it myself. And you deal with that with graciousness and love and style. You talk without being offensive, listen without being defensive, leave your adversary their dignity. So you've taken this spiritual awakening of you, this embodiment of you, and now you're trying to not just feed the homeless, you're trying to give them a home. I mean, you are literally, you're not just talking to folks in the criminal justice system, you're trying to show them how to code. You're trying to show them how to become an entrepreneur. As you were talking about...
We shut down 5 prisons in Texas.
Yeah, talk about it.
We have the lowest rate of recidivism of any institution in Texas. We have awards both from the Trump administration and the Obama administration for the excellence of our work that we decided to do. We didn't put our facilities in a glamorous building in a nice neighborhood. We put it right in the hood where people could get to it. And we take them through a 2-year program with a graduation, and most of them come out employed with a place to stay. We have people coming out of prison who have never seen an Apple phone, don't know how to use a phone, looking for a phone booth. They have been incarcerated so long, it is impossible without some training and some preparation to integrate back into society without an investment to accomplish that. The other thing that you have to realize is the reason that we're going down the track of entrepreneurship. The stats say black women are going into business more readily than any other people group, but they do not have sustainability. They have great creativity, they don't have access to capital, they don't have the sustainability that's necessary to be competitive. So what we are doing is taking people and showing them how to build to scale, how to scale your business up, how to prepare for the future, how to integrate your ideas, how to market your ideas. We are talking to people with CEOs through major distributions about getting our products into their store. And so they're starting to carry our products in many of the stores that have not carried our products before, because the reason that we have had to go wholesale and online is because we didn't have access to distribution. The next hurdle we have to make is access to advertising. Yes, we can advertise on social media. Yes, we should do that. That's a great thing to do. That's low-lying fruit. We need to be able to market it, because if I get in Walmart and nobody knows I'm there,
that's right,
then they're going to throw me out in 30 days.
That's right.
And it's going to be impossible for me to have sustainability.
That's right.
So we have to do that. And then to the corporations that are out here, yes, we need your support. Yes, we need you to come alongside of us. Yes, we need your ability to help this dream to materialize more readily. Now, we're going, whether you come or not.
Oh, whoa! That's it.
Because we have decided, there that we can get together.
That's right.
And rub sticks and create a fire.
That's right.
But if you got some matches and some gas, you are welcome to come and gather around the campfire and help us get it going. What we really want from you is information, dedication, some not just green power, but manpower, putting your people on site in different places, loaning us your expertise, being speakers at events like TechPo, so that we can be exposed to those ideologies and concepts that are common to you. Because not all black people grew up in houses where they were talking about investments and annuities and 401ks and what's the benefits and the liabilities and what is Dow Jones. And we skip past that because it's a foreign language. It's a foreign language not because we don't understand English, it's a foreign language because we never heard it in our house. So what I'm trying to do is make the foreign language become a natural language that is within our reach, and to demystify. The reason we have so much haters, it's not their fault. It's not their fault to be haters. Success is so mystical to suffering people. Woo! That if anybody succeeds, you must be bad.
Yes.
You must be bad. It is a result of the trauma.
The trauma.
Because we are not used to seeing success in our color.
Yes.
Then like crabs in a barrel, we snatch it down because we think that that's only for the master.
Oh.
When your missionaries were your masters, then your theology will always be flawed. Woo! And so when you understand the history of our country and you recognize that there is a complicity in our theology that bled over into our humanity and our human experience, that there are some people who think that they have a God-given right to oppress me because pressing me down makes you feel taller. So the only theory that we can come up with is replacement theory, which produces fear. I don't want to replace anybody. I just want to stand beside you.
That's right.
I don't want to push your chair away from the table. I just want a seat at the table. And if you don't give me a seat, I'm going to build a table.
That's right.
I'm going to build me a table.
That's right.
And you know why? It's not for me. I'm 65 years old. I can make it from here. It's not for me. It's so my son can see me build, so my daughter can see me build, so my neighbor. Do you not know the reason that we're building mixed income communities is that the stats say that little boys who grow up in homes with no father, if they live in a neighborhood where there's a father, the outcomes are better if they're even close to it. The reason we have haters is because people are frustrated.
Yes.
They're trapped at the bottom and they can't get up. The reason we have riots, Dr. King said that riots is the language of the unheard.
Right.
The reason we have riots is because people are frustrated. Yeah. What we need to do is open up channels where they can escape. They're locked into systems, and the theme of our foundation is pathways. Yes. Because on one hand, we have relationship with CEOs, many of which who say, I want to make a difference. Our company needs to make a difference. We have DEI departments and all of that. We need to make a difference. We are now criticized for not making a difference, and they want to do it, but they don't know those people.
Yes.
Well, I know the CEO and the people. I told one CEO who said, I can't find qualified black people to work in my company and in my organization. I said, they're in my choir stand. I said, no, I'm serious. I got master's degree people singing in the choir, working on the usher board. We do exist. Yes. So what we need is a pathway between supply and demand so that we can introduce these two people to each other, because the stats say the more diverse a corporation, not only is it the moral thing to do, profitability increases by 20% when you integrate the thought with other types of people.
That's right. That's right. Are you enjoying this? Woo! So as I want to come around, we're going to talk about the real estate pieces as we round this off, because I think that is the living legacy. But I want you to know a couple more things about this man. When he calls me, it's never about him. He's never asking for anything for himself, other than maybe to learn something he doesn't know. He's curious. So he called me once and he asked me about some real estate stuff. and we talked about 45 minutes for that. And I didn't realize he was draining me for information, because he
got to be slick with it. Be slick.
My man was going to launch a huge real estate deal. And I loved that he was using whatever resources were available to expand the table, as Stephanie Rules say, and add a chair. and build his own table because he was doing something I couldn't do. And we need it. And then I call him for advice and counsel. And there's a humility, we can learn from each other. And my team goes over to his team to learn about technology and social, because it's not what we do, it's not who we are. There's nothing wrong with asking for help.
Right, right.
There's nothing wrong with collaboration.
In fact, if you got a vision that you can reach by yourself, it's not worthy of you.
Woo! Say that again.
If you got a vision that you can reach by yourself, it's not worthy of you. One of the problems with our entrepreneurs is that they generally have less than 2 employees, 2 to 3 employees at max.
Yep.
They're so busy doing the work, they're not thinking the business. And running a business is, just because you can fry chicken doesn't mean you need to open up a chicken shack. Okay? The truth of the matter is I don't have to fry chicken. I can hire somebody to fry chicken. I have to think my business.
Yes.
I have to strategize my business. I have to integrate my business by being at events like this, where I can meet the right people and learn the right concepts to enhance my business. But you know why some people aren't here? They're busy doing the business.
Yes.
They don't understand the difference between busyness and business. So they think that if they are busy enough, they will be successful in business. Back away from what you're doing and stare at it. Woo! Just stare at it. Just stare at who you hired. Stare at how they perform. Stare at your ledgers, your balance sheets, your budgets, your income, what it costs you, not just in dollars, but in human resource.
That's right.
See, what you just told them about us is not only that we are friends, we are resources to each other.
That's right.
Human resource can be the greatest capital you can ever have. And this country right now is having a deficit of human resource. So we have to create workforce possibilities that are more inclusive in order to be sustainable. Our survival is at stake. Our literal survival. I hear on the news them talking about democracy is at stake. It's not just democracy. Survival is at stake. Human survival is at stake. If we don't integrate our ideas, the same air that the Chinese breathe, the Americans breathe. The same water that the Africans drink, the Canadians drink. We have one planet. And while we are having all of these tribal wars, whether they're political tribal wars, whether they're socioeconomic tribal wars, whether they're good hair, bad hair, tribal wars, we have all these generational tribal wars. We're about to be extinct.
Yes.
And if we don't come together as a species,
bridging the divide,
and come together, bridge the divide, and recognize the fact that there is really one race, the human race.
That's right.
Then like many other species that are facing extinction on the planet that we are not paying attention to because we arrogantly believe that we could not become extinct. COVID came to remind us that one disease could come through and take us all out, and they'd be digging for our bones and talking about the species that used to exist.
Yes.
What happened is we're being forced to lose our biases and our prejudices and integrate our philosophies and benefit from our human resources.
Yes.
And let me tell you something, this is a God idea, it's not a Jake's idea. Cross-pollination. I was just watching on the news that the death of the bees is killing the harvest of the farmers. You know why? Because God has created this earth, or I believe that God created this earth in such a way that cross-pollination is the path to fruitfulness. If you don't cross-pollinate, the nectar doesn't have to come from the same tree. But if you draw the pollen from one tree and bring it to the next and produce the nectar, it makes everybody more fruitful. The higher you go, the more fruitful I become. I could never be your hater. I could be your student. but I could never be your hater because I would miss the opportunity to cross-pollinate with you. I would rather have your knowledge. I met with Jerry Jones when I first came down to Dallas, and I told him, I said, I didn't come to ask you for anything. I said, I just want to know, what would you do if you had my hand? If you give me money, you're going to give it to me once, but if you give me knowledge, I can get my own.
That's right.
You understand? Give me knowledge. Knowledge is everything.
So as I don't want to conclude, but as we wrap this session up, what you have now poured all of this into things that exist when you're not around. Mm-hmm. You don't need to do any of this. Ambassador Andrew Young says men and women fail for 3 reasons: arrogance, pride, and greed. You don't have any of those afflictions. You're peace, and you're at peace with yourself. And you could just walk off the stage right now, drop the mic, and be cool. But now you're trying to give back in another dimension of yourself, a software upgrade through business and because you see the ripple effect of that through our conversations. So I see a real estate development you're doing, I think, in Houston. I think I see another development. I forget the state. There's another development on Thursday. I see one that you and Tyler Perry got together and not talked about entertainment or this or that, which is another conversation. You talked about a real estate development, and you bought land here in Atlanta, a former military outpost, as I understand.
Fort Mac.
Fort Myers?
Fort Mac. Yeah, and I couldn't have done it. We didn't form a partnership. He had a ROFO, which is a right of first offer, which meant that nobody could buy the land without it first being offered to him. I got on the phone and called him and said, if you give me the ROFO for a certain amount of time and I don't make it happen, I'll give it back to you. Gentleman's agreement. Yeah. Signed no contracts. We just made a deal. Yeah. So, you understand what I'm saying? So it's not like Tyler Perry Studios and I are in partnership. Right. TDJ Rev, on its own accord, took that last 100 acres or nearly 100 acres of land, and guess what? The neighborhood behind it is stuck in between Tyler Perry Studios and Microsoft, and I can't find a grocery store for miles. Yes. I can't find a cup of coffee for miles. Yes. I can find free payday loans, loan places.
Yeah, cash, rent-to-own stores, title lenders.
Yes, they target the impoverished for the desperation they have to have money. And so you can get liquor stores, you can get a bag of dope, you can get a strip club, you can get a whole lot of stuff, but you cannot get a cup of coffee. So we are putting in grocery stores, we are putting in CVS's, affordable housing. Minority contractors. These things all exist, but they had not been gathered together. And we're going to do it in as many cities as we can. And why are we doing it at 65? Because I want to leave this world better than I found it. And I think all of us ought to want to leave this world a little better than I found it. And if you do that, you can't be so preoccupied with your own success that you don't lift up others, because it is impossible to be successful without a successor. So if you are successful and you have no successor, I have never seen a U-Haul fall in a hearse. If a hearse is driving, there's no U-Haul behind it. You've got to understand that you have to leave this with somebody. It has to, in biblical language, reproduce after its own kind. So the cross-pollination between us, between Tyler Perry, Oprah Winfrey, anybody else out there in the audience right now, create platforms for us to cross-pollinate. God meant for us to be interdependent, not independent, interdependent. Like nature, like apple trees, like blossoms, like peach trees. We need each other. It's going to take all of us to preserve the air, the air. Be rich all you want to. What you gonna do if you can't drink the water?
That's right.
Ride around in your Rolls Royce all you like, but if you can't breathe, argue about all of the social issues of the day, but if we all asphyxiate, what difference does it make? We have got to become more focused on our survival as a species and work together, black, brown, and white, so we can live so that we can grow, so that we can reproduce, and so that we can have not communism, not socialism, but so that we can have a chance, opportunism, and opportunity at a better life. All we need is an opportunity.
The third reconstruction, opportunity. Let me tell you something. What you need is a software upgrade in our communities that looks like this. Integrity, intelligence, caring, and capitalism. We can do well and do good too. This is the James Brown version of affirmative action. Open the door, I'll get it myself. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the future of our communities. I can't tell you how excited I am when I get a call from a CEO and they say, I'm about to do a deal with TD Jakes. Because all that means that we are better together, that we have another saint on the playing field of life experiences that will have a ripple effect beyond his years, because he's not about me, he's about we. Yeah. Join me in saying thank you to Bishop TD Jakes.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you.